What is freedom? Robert Wallace commented on my Confederate flag video, so you gotta let the flag go because other people are offended by it. So more or less you would be letting another person or group of people impose their will on you. I'm trying to work out where this leaves autonomous human beings when they can be easily shouted down and ridiculed into giving up their freedoms, in this case symbols of cultural expression. So Robert brought up a point that I spoke to in the comment section of that video, but it did make me start thinking about an even bigger question, which is simply, what is freedom? We talk about it a lot, we justify a lot of things in its name. We name the tallest buildings in the country after it, we claim that other countries hate us because of it, and we have more of it than any other country in the world, and we let it ring, my friend! We let that freedom ring. Hundreds of thousands of men and women, young men and women, have given their lives, they've died, they've sacrificed everything they have for this very concept. We hold this dearly as one of the most important things that define us as a culture and as a country. We even call ourselves the land of the free. But what does that mean, to be free? Well, as it turns out, that's a very difficult question to answer because one person's heaven is another person's hell. I was recently introduced to a show on the Discovery Channel called Alaskan Bush People. This reality show is about this family that insists on living deep in the bush wilderness of Alaska, completely cut off from civilization with no outside help whatsoever. Growing and killing everything they eat, completely on the verge of starvation at all times, with nothing whatsoever but their wits to keep them alive. But they do so because to them that is the ultimate freedom. Completely cut off from any outside influence, no government imposing their will on them, no society telling them what to do, complete freedom. And of course I saw an interview with the dad of the group who was claiming that this is what America is all about. This is the real America. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But is it? I mean, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence weren't signed on some mountaintop in Appalachia. They were signed in Philadelphia, which was the biggest city in the country at the time. And of course, it's your idea of the real America that just happens to be the actual real America, which is just an amazing coincidence that seems to be completely lost on you. Is it freedom when the slightest misstep can cause a broken ankle and leave you stranded in the middle of a frozen wasteland until a bear eats you? Is it freedom when just a common infection kills you because you don't have a hospital nearby? I wouldn't want to live like that. I was traveling recently, and the house that we were staying in was kind of up on a mountainside, and we had to go up these really windy, treacherous roads to get to it, and more than a few times I found myself kind of panicking a little bit because I was like, dude, if something went horribly wrong, could an ambulance even get up here? I mean, I live literally a mile away from a hospital. I like that. Having no backup if things go wrong might be a freedom, but it's a perilous freedom. Ask anybody who doesn't have insurance. I personally don't think it's much of a freedom unless you have some basic necessities set up. Now for somebody else, not having internet might be considered the same thing as not having any freedom. So how do you define something that has a different meaning for everybody? Especially when there's 300 million different everybody's. The answer is you can't. Not in a way that's going to make everybody happy. And that's when a little thing called society kicks in. To live in a society, you have to agree to a certain set of social rules, which means that you're not always going to get everything exactly the way you want all the time. If you're walking through the mall and you've really got to go to the bathroom, you can't just go piss in the public fountain. You've got to hold it until you get to the bathroom because we as a society have decided that, yeah, not so much with the public peeing thing. Now, a lot of these are just issues of manners. You know, you shake hands when you meet somebody. You don't just walk away in the middle of a conversation. And others are so universally disliked that they've been codified into law, like the public peeing thing. Seriously, don't pee in the fountain. Laws are just societal rules that we all have decided are bad enough that if you do it, you should be punished for it. And in general, we reserve our biggest derision and our biggest punishment for any action that harms or kills another human being. But that same derision that we feel about violence also shifts over into symbols of violence. The swastika is just a series of spiral arms. It can't hurt anybody itself, but it symbolizes a regime of violence that murdered millions of people. And we react to that. This hasn't always been true though. For thousands of years, the swastika was used by cultures all around the world as a symbol of peace and prosperity. Actually, it's kind of really weird how so many different cultures from so many different places that had no connection with each other looked at this symbol and saw the same thing out of it. It's almost got a weird mystical, spiritual quality to it, which is why Hitler picked it in the first place. But all that's over now. If you go into any building in the world with a swastika on your shirt, everybody's going to perceive that as you supporting hate and violence. Thanks a lot, Adolf. And now the Confederate flag is going down a similar path. Regardless of how you feel about the South, regardless of your pride, regardless of what that symbol means to you personally, thanks to a bunch of assholes, it now symbolizes violence and hate. And if you display it, regardless of your intention, you're going to be perceived as advocating hate and violence. And people don't like that. You're pissing in the fountain. Don't piss in the fountain. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps Google to show it to more people out there. And if it's your first time here, hit subscribe. I come back every Monday with fun and interesting videos. They'll give you a cool perspective on the world to make you a little bit more interesting around your friends and the water cooler at work. You can follow me at any of my social media places on the screen, and if you have a question you would like answered, you can ask in any of the comment sections of any of the videos on this channel, or you can ask in any of the social media places, and you can wind up on my video. I want to say thanks to Robert for his comment, and for all of you out there, I hope you have a great week. Love you guys. Take care.